Videos on converting between fractions, decimals, and percents. We've already covered converting between fractions and decimals, so now we're adding in percents. And remember, percent is the amount per 100. If you've taken French, cent means 100 in French. In U.S. currency, you say a cent is 1 penny out of a dollar, but 100 of them make up a dollar, right? So if you think about cent means 100, so per 100, okay? So here's a little chart showing conversion between each one, okay? Decimal is the friend to everyone. It's pretty easy to convert a decimal to both a percent and to a fraction. So that's why anytime I have a fraction, I first make it a decimal before making a percent. If I have a percent, I first make it a decimal before then going to a fraction, okay? So let's start from the fraction end. So if I have 31 over 50, okay, to turn it into a decimal, I divide the numerator by the denominator, okay? So that just means 31 divided by 50. Okay. In this case, I get 0.62. And then turning a decimal to a percent is pretty easy. All you're doing is sliding the decimal place twice. Okay. So it's 2 places to the right. It makes it bigger. It makes it 62%. Okay. So that's going from a fraction to a decimal to a percent. Going the other direction, we got 62%, which some people say you could easily make a fraction because it's out of 100. But not so easy if it was, say, 62.5. So it's good to know how to make it a decimal first. 62% has its decimal point right here. So you just go back the other way and slide two places to the left. And it becomes 0.62 again as a decimal form. And then turning a decimal to a fraction, you'll remember all you have to do is say the decimal properly. That's 62 hundredths. 62 hundredths, right, out of 100, okay? If you're not good with the decimal place values, all you have to do is go look. 1, 2 places, so 1, 2 zeros in my fraction, okay? And of course, you always have to simplify your fractions. So that's converting between fractions, decimals, and percents, going from fraction to percent or percent to fraction, okay? So now let's practice. Feel free to use a calculator when you're turning your fractions into decimals. So go ahead and hit pause, draw out this chart, fill in the missing values, and hit play to check your work. All right, so we have a percent, 55%. Remember, just you slide it over twice, so that's 0.55. Then the fraction, I would say it's 55 over 100. And then if I divide it by 5, I get 11/20. That's my final fraction answer. All right, this one we have the decimal, so to make it a percent, you slide it 2 to the right, so that's 128%. And then the fraction would be 1 and 28 over 100, which can divide by 4, so you end up getting 1 and 7/25 as your final answer. All right, 5/7, I divide 5 by 7. I'm gonna have to round it off. And when you're making a decimal that's eventually going to make a percent, it's a good idea to go 3 places because when I make it the percent, remember I slide it over twice, right? And this shows that it wasn't exactly 71%. The decimal went on a little further. So it's a good idea to have 3 numbers so your percent has a decimal place, okay? All right, 0.4%, I would slide it over twice, so I'd add zeros in there. So that's 0.004, and I slide it twice, which is 4 out of 1,000, right? 3 places, 1, 2, 3, which simplifies to 1 over 250. All right, 9 hundredths is just that. It doesn't simplify at all, so that's that. And if I slide it over twice, I got 9%. And then 7 and 1/20, so it's 7 point, and 1 divided by 20 is 0.5. If I slide it over twice, I have 705%. Okay, so that's converting between fractions, decimals, and percents. All right, so there are some shortcuts. 100% of a number, hopefully you know that, it'd be the whole thing, right? Whole number. So for example, if I'm finding 100% of 28, it would be 28, okay? 50% is half the number. 50%. So half of 28, 14 in this case, okay? 10% of the number is divide by 10. And remember, the divide by 10 is you slide the decimal 1 to the left. That's that shortcut we learned for our powers of 10. So slide decimal left once. So in this case, that would equal 2.8, right? So decimal place is after the 8. If I slide it over to the left once, it's 2.8. So 10% of 28 is 2.8. 1% would be divided by 100. So now I'm going to slide the decimal place to the left twice. So slide left twice. So if I slide left twice in this case, I'm going to end up with 0.28. So 1% of 28 is 0.28. Okay, so those are some good shortcuts to know. It can save you a lot of time and is easy mental math to do if you think about it. Okay, so make sure you write those shortcuts down. All right, so let's practice the shortcuts real quick. I'm going to give you a new number. Let's say the number is 222. I want you to pause it, find 100% of it, 50% of it, 10%, and 1%. When you found those, hit play to check your work. All right, so 100%. I hope we all got that, the whole number. 50%, half of it. So half of it would be 111. 10%, we slide the decimal point once, so that'd be 22.2. And 1%, we slide it twice, so that'd be 2.22. All right, that's converting between fractions, decimals, and percent.